influence. Because when you have flat wages and you have an economy that's growing and you have all the money and wealth going to the top, and that money and wealth is going back into politics, then that money and wealth is buying political rules and a market and market rules that really are benefiting the top. That's where the rigging has come from. And it's also buying a lot of propaganda. And it's buying a lot of Fox News and Rush Limbaugh. It's poisoning the public dialogue. Most of the public doesn't even know what's going on. All they know is that they're not getting ahead. They don't think their kids are going to be getting ahead. And they're worried about the future. They're angry and frustrated. And that's even worse, because when you have anger and frustration, what does that mean? That means you can have demagogues coming in there and using that anger and frustration and blaming everybody, blaming immigrants, or blaming African Americans, or blaming government, or blaming unions, or blaming, a lot of hate and a lot of blame. History is filled with frustration and anger among people who are not getting ahead and worried about falling behind, with demagogues who are taking advantage of them. So our job, and I mean our job, particularly our job, but your job being here in Iowa, is to turn that frustration and that anger into something positive, and to make sure that not only people vote, but also that we have a progressive agenda that people are voting for.
Yes.
I don't care, frankly, whether, I'm old enough to know that candidates come and go, and everybody, every 4 or 8 years, we think there's another savior. Really, another Messiah who's going to deliver us. And the fact is, there isn't anybody who's ever going to deliver us. We are going to deliver us. And we've got to hold the feet to the fire of every candidate, every single candidate. In 1936, which I don't remember, Franklin D. Roosevelt was running for re-election, and somebody came up to him and said, Mr. President, I'd like to vote for you, but you have to promise me that you're going to do this, 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 and this, and this. And she rattled off about 5 things, and he said, ma'am, I want to do everything on your list, but if I'm re-elected, you must make me. You must make me. What does that mean? It means even in the 1930s, even in the depths of the Depression, the president knew that he could not do anything unless people were organized and mobilized and activated and pushing him. So it's not a matter of finding a savior or a Messiah. It's not a matter of finding somebody who's going to deliver us. It's a matter of us delivering us. And that's why you in Iowa are in such a perfect and gifted position, because not only can you hold candidates' feet to the fire, and you can get them to at least focus on what needs to be focused on, but you can continue to hold their feet to the fire, because you're going to be important and continue to be that important. So I want to thank you for everything you're doing. By definition of being in this room, you are activists. I want to thank you for being progressives, because by definition of being in this room, you are progressive activists. I also want to suggest that it's not Republicans who we are against, we're against regressives.
Thank you.
Can I just make sure we understand that the regressives want to take us back to the 19th century. They want to take America back to the time when the rich were even richer than they are now, and more powerful than they are now. The poor were even poorer than they are now, and we had almost no middle class at all. And we overcame what we had in 1880 and 1890, but we're heading back there. The regressives want to take us back there, but the progressives will not allow that. And we are all involved in recreating, and it's happening all over the country, a progressive movement to take back our economy and to take back our democracy. And you are in the vanguard. So thank you for that. Answer your question. Vicki, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Bob, and thanks you all for coming to get to ask your questions to Bob Reich. My name is Vicki Kaplan. I'm a national campaign director with MoveOn.org. So thank you for those of you who are MoveOn members for coming out here. And I think folks know this, but Bob and MoveOn